Tennessee at Mizzou. Tennessee 1.5-point favorite. Don't look now for Tennessee, but staying alive. It's kind of the mission right now, staying alive in that SEC East. There'll be some attention on the game for Georgia Ole Miss here after this one, depending on how things shake out. But Tennessee just continues to stick to their new brand of football. Gritty, playing in the trenches, playing physical. Joe Milton, is he Anthony Richardson? Like a lot of people expected him to be during the preseason because he can throw down a backflip and throw the ball 90 yards. No, but he's been really efficient, been really effective. He'll need to do more of that in this game for them to beat Missouri at Missouri, a tough place to play. Now, Missouri, this could kind of be the reminder kind of game for the rest of the country because they lost to Georgia, and that game had a lot of hype, as it should, and they were a top 15 team coming in. But, like, even with that being said, like, Missouri is still, I think, one of the better football teams in the country. I think Missouri probably is a team that ends up winning the Big Ten West. No shade on the Big Ten West. But just because they're in the SEC, just because they lost to Georgia and took Georgia 4 quarters and couldn't get it done, doesn't mean they're not still a team that we got to take seriously when it comes to the national college football landscape. So this is kind of a, hey, we're still here kind of feeling for Missouri if you find a way to beat Tennessee at your place. Big thing to watch now, Joe Milton against Blake Baker, the defensive coordinator for Missouri. Like, I think the thing for Tennessee in this game, we think about last year, we think about Hendon Hooker dropping bombs to Jalen Hyatt and to Cedric Tillman and to Brew McCoy. And Brew McCoy, I mean, you hope he's able to get well soon and get back to playing football here at some point in the very, very near future next season. But in this game, I don't think you need to have the bombs away kind of mentality if you're Joe Milton. I think you need to have the little stun if you're Joe Milton. You don't need to have the 60-yard bomb. I need the 10-yard dig route. I need the 15-yard curl. I need the 14 back to 12 kind of comeback. If we have that, then we keep that Missouri defense a little bit more honest because Missouri, we saw them against Florida, or against Georgia rather. They're going to dial it up. They're going to get after you. Blake Baker likes to apply pressure. I expect nothing different in this game against Tennessee. So for Tennessee, big week for the outlet pass. And the outlet pass is essentially like, hey, you scramble, play breaks down, Squirrel White sitting out there in the flat, kind of just been hanging out there for the duration of this play. Get the ball to Squirrel White, let him cook in space. Big Squirrel White, big Dante Thornton week if you're Tennessee. Need both those guys to step up in a big way. When they catch the ball at 3 yards, get us 7, get us 10. Be able to make plays in space. That could be what this thing comes down to. Because if Missouri's able to get home and Blake Baker's able to kind of move the knight to E5, boom, checkmate, sack on Joe Milton, then the problems start to compound. Because what I just said about having to have that little stun pass game, you don't have to have the big vertical shot. Well, then we kind of go back on that statement and say, hey, Joe, you know what I said about not needing to throw the ball deep all the time? Well, it's 3rd and 15. So let's go ahead and run 4 verts on one-on-one. Thanks so much. Like, you don't want to have that kind of conversation with Joe Milton. Not because he can't do it, but because it's not who you are right now as an identity with this Tennessee offense. Now, if you are able to have that kind of stun persona as a pass game for Tennessee against Missouri, what I think would happen is the Missouri defense probably mellows out a little bit, probably have to be a little bit more honest across the board with how you play this Tennessee offense. Bottom line, if you give Josh Heupel the picture he wants defensively, he's going to make you pay. He's one of the best offensive minds in the country. He's going to make you pay. So if you're able to make them mellow out early, could be a long day for Missouri at the crib. Now, the battle of explosiveness, too, is something we got to watch here in this one, especially when Missouri has the football. Because to keep it a buck now, like, Tennessee, they would love to play this game in the 20s. And it sounds bizarre. If you told me that at SEC Media Days, I would say, what happened to Tennessee and what was their record? But if you play this game in the 20s for Tennessee, I think you have a real good shot to win. Because what they've been to this point is game control, make you say uncle, run the football. That's kind of been their identity. It's kind of been their MO this season. And credit Josh Heupel for adapting to that. But for Missouri, they want to play this game in the 30s. They want to let Luther Burden, who you hope is healthy for this spot. I know he got dinged up against Georgia, came back in the game. You hope he's at somewhere near full strength if you're a Missouri Tiger fan. You want to have him be the difference maker for you. He's one of the best players in the country. You should want him to be the difference maker for you. The player who holds that in the palm of who holds those 20s and 30s number in the palm of his hands is Luther Burden. Now, something to watch for. My question is, what is the balance in terms of attention you have to pay to Luther Burden when it comes to what Brady Cook does on the ground and what Cody Schrader does on the ground? Cody Schrader went for over 100 yards against Georgia. I think most Georgia fans left that game saying, whoa, hey, we got out of there with a win, but that number 7, man, he's a dog. Was it a D2? What? Swear? No. Like, that was kind of the feeling, I think, for a lot of Georgia fans leaving that game. And for Brady Cook now, hey, man, he's got some wheels. Like, is he Michael Vick? No. But he can hurt you with those quarterback design runs, and when he decides to take off, like, he can turn 3rd and 7 into 1st and 10 real quick. And so if you don't play them accordingly, some drives could start to formulate from Missouri. But if you try and give them too much attention and they're just gashing you, well, then Luther Burden gets to win his matchup one-on-one. And I'll say this about Missouri, too. They do a really good job scheming guys open, specifically scheming number 3 open. A lot of layers to their route concepts and a lot of messing with that safety. And before you know it, you're like, how is Luther Burden so open? How is Luther Burden getting one-on-one coverage? Best player on the field. That's going to be crucial because as much attention as you give to Brady Cook and Cody Schrader is as much attention you're not able to give to Luther Burden. Now, the good thing for Tennessee, they've got a tremendous front 7. And so if they can play that honest, you give more attention to Luther Burden. But I think to take it a step further, like, I think it's big for Tennessee here to get home early. Because if you get home early in the series and you force a 2nd and 14 or a 3rd and 12 rather, at that point in time, you already know what's coming. Like, yes, you still have to keep an eye on Brady Cook taking off and running and hurting with his legs, but like, we understand the ball's probably going to Luther Burden here. Or at the very least, you're giving him extra attention to make sure that they go to somebody else. Now, Theo Weiss Jr. is another receiver from Missouri that could also hurt you. Bottom line, if you know what's coming, if you're Tennessee, good things are going to happen. If not, and they get to set the pace, like, hey, hold on now. You force Tennessee to do something they don't really want to do, which is try and keep pace with an explosive offense that is Missouri. So my big question in this game now, what's in the tank for Missouri? And I'm not questioning the internal makeup of this team. I'm not questioning the culture. But I am questioning, like, you just gave it all in that game against Georgia. They emptied the tank, I believe, in that game. And now you got to go back home and play another physical outfit against Tennessee. For as much as it's said about Tennessee and they want to push the ball downfield and people think about Hendon Hooker and think about, the explosive pass game, like, that's what they were last year. That's not what they are this year. So it's going to force another physical output from Missouri to hang with Tennessee. And I don't love the way that shakes out. I think for Tennessee, they kind of settle into that wear you down mode. If Missouri gets some shots early, this thing gets interesting. I'll be very, very clear here. Missouri has the personnel to win this football game. Luther Burden could take over this game. Brady Cook could take over this game. They have guys that could win this football game. But based on this spot, based on Missouri having to get up off the mat after playing Georgia, based on what Josh Heupel's done against this Missouri team the last couple of seasons, I like Tennessee to win. I think it's a close one. I think that line isn't lying to us now with favoring Tennessee by 1.5. I think Tennessee wins this game. I think it's by a field goal. I think it's 27-24. The game is played in the 20s. There is a fair amount of back and forth here, but at the end of the day, the physicality of Tennessee ends up being the difference maker. So now, if you're Tennessee and you beat Missouri, start watching that Georgia-Ole Miss game real close. Real close. You got Georgia next week in Neyland. We'll see. All I'm going to say is, hey, we'll see. Take care of business and live to fight another day if you're the Vols. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.